Leo, hello there, my beautiful friends. We're going to do your general tarot reading for mid November 2025. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I appreciate each and every single one of you. So let's get right down to business as always and start you off with an oracle card here, just so we could dip our toes in the energy and see what's happening for the lovely Leo collective. Hope you're all doing fabulous and fantastic, my friends. Let's get it going here. My guide spirit team, talk to me. What do we got for these lovely Leos in mid-November? What energies, messages, insights can we take a little peek at? And yeah, we're just going to take a real quick look at this first card. Then we'll get into the full reading itself. At the very end, I'll pull you a bonus card from the Shadowland Tarot, just to see what might be in the shadows or what shadow work you can lean into, which is always interesting. But let's get it going here. Let's rock and see what we got for Leo in mid-November. What's the vibe? What's the energy? Let's get this card out nice and quick, hopefully. You know, sometimes the deck can be a little picky when you're reading jumpers. Okay. I mean, this seems fun, usually. So maybe some of you need to cut loose a little bit and enjoy yourself when this card is here, right? I know some of you are like, all right, you don't have to tell me twice, Kyle. But I like this card. And to me, it gives me a really good feeling on the inside. It makes me all warm and fuzzy because it's just very lighthearted. Now, before we fully dive into that, if you're new here, I'll be speaking about the November subscriber surprise towards the end, so you might want to check that out. And also, if you could kindly illuminate that like button by tapping it right on its third eye, you know, I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough the promo, back into the reading. So let me tell you why I feel this way about the card. As you can see with the imagery, we have toys, right? We have the little dollies going on, little snow globe, horses. To me, it just feels like things that you use to entertain yourself. So in its most positive sense, it's a card that's enjoying itself. That's why I said it. Maybe you need to cut loose if you've been dealing with some serious things, if things have been a little boring, things have been a little stale. Spirit might just want you to have a good time. Now, that looks different for everybody, right? Everyone's idea of fun is different from the next. So, whatever it is, just enjoy it, and that could lighten up your energy, especially if things have been rough. And I know that's easier said than done. Now, aside from that, this card can sometimes represent someone having a little too much fun. I'm not saying you are, but this could be someone where it's like, all right, they're having a great time, and they don't know where to draw the line. So just watch out for any excess when this card is here. But I think it's good. I mean, I'm just giving you both sides of the coin so you can know how the energy flows, but it feels way better than it doesn't. So we're just going to let it chill over there. Let's get into tarot. And yeah, I always say that first card, it doesn't make or break the reading. It's just a little footnote. So let's get you 3 tarot cards in the upright. Then we'll get into that intuitive juiciness. Shuffle it up one time here for the lovely Leos. What do we got in mid-November? And while we get this deck shuffled up and ready to go, let's talk about last week's reading. There were a lot of people showing up in your reading last week. The reading was titled They're Gossiping. It felt very chatty. There was a lot of talking happening. There was a lot of people. Now, in its best sense to me, I felt like it could have been someone that needs to vent or was venting. But in the rougher aspect to me, it felt like someone with very loose lips. So just watch that energy. It could bleed over for a couple weeks. Watch who you tell certain things to. But we're going to see what shows up this week. As you know, energy is very fluid, never set in stone. So only take this how it hits for you, because we could be seeing your vibe or somebody else's, right? Let's get it going. 3 cards for the lovely Leos. What do we got? Oh, super quick. Okay. All right. Starting with the Ten of Swords. Don't get nervous about it, but that's always going to draw attention when the very first card that pops out is the Ten of Swords, right? So maybe there is a reason we started with a very lighthearted energy. Let's get a couple more. Let's get a couple more here. What do we got for Leo? Yeah. Okay. Your power card. Cool. So I like strength is right next to it. That always gives me a silver lining, because this is a very, very strong, powerful card, aside from it being one of your power cards. Let's get one more. Thank you. 2 Pentacles balanced. Cool. All right. So there's a lot of karmic energy here as well. That's something I'll say, and we'll talk more in depth on it, especially with this 2 Pentacles and strength. They both have the infinity symbol. But let's go through. I'll give you some of the classical meanings and archetypes. Then we'll get into that juicy intuitive stuff. But at first glance, you know, I always like to look at the elements, and that tells us how the energy is moving or areas of life that might be affected. And it's a pretty even mixture this week. That's a good thing. When I feel like it's all one element, that's when things can get a little too lopsided. But we're starting here with the element of air. So that's the mindset, logic, intelligence, thoughts, strategy, planning. It could also be communication, conversation. In the center, we have your comfort element, your comfort zone, which is fire, right? The realm of passion, drive, desire. It's your get up and go. It's your gusto. It's your internal combustion engine. Fire represents the actions we take and the actions others take as well. But the only downside to the fire energy, sometimes it could be a little unpredictable, especially with the fire air combination right here up front. But we do have a grounding force here on the back end with the earth. Now, so it's like we have the thoughts, we have the action, now we have the world around us. That's how I view the earth energy. So it can represent work, business, money, home, and family. And if the world is a stage, the earth energy is the stage that we perform our acts on. It's where we move. So it's we have the action and the setting. So it's interesting here. There could be things around stability, but let's go through and start building this out piece by piece. Position number one, we're starting with the Ten of Swords. Now, for those of you that know tarot, you've been watching tarot, you understand this is one of the more challenging cards in the whole entire deck. It doesn't tank the whole entire reading, but it is something that we need to pay attention to. Right now, it is on a spectrum. Right, it's not always the worst case, worst possible thing. Sometimes it could be minor, but the Ten of Swords is a card of pain. Right, it's a card of harsh endings. And you see that person that got all the swords in their back, so it's obviously somebody going through a very difficult time. Whether this is a rough and tough ending, a chapter closing, whether it is you know, I don't want to say reckless, but the energy itself just it's consequences as well. So watch out for things like that. So maybe some of you certain chapters have recently closed and it might have closed in an unceremonious type of way when this card is here. The good thing about the Ten of Swords is it tells me there's nowhere to go but up. There's nowhere to go but improvement. So that's a really, really good thing. I mean, it could just be a lot of things. So it could be anger, it could be pain, depression, it could be anxiety. So we're going to have to clarify to get a little more detail on this. And again, it doesn't have to be you. This could be someone you're connected to going through a very difficult one. Now, moving to the center is what gives me a silver lining in this reading, as I mentioned earlier, because right next to this Ten of Swords, we have one of your power cards, Strength. And you see that big old beautiful lion right there, right with the angel, soothing it, protecting it. Now, one thing I always say about this card, if it's not just showing us something that's coming towards you or a way you might be feeling, this is a card of character. It's someone's internal strength, who they are as a person, their personality. So when I do see difficult energy and then I see strength right next to it, it's like, all right, there might be something going on that's not ideal, might not be easy, but you're okay. But you got this. Like with the strength card, you're probably stronger than you give yourself credit for when this card is here. And I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. So I really like this card, but there's a lot more layers to it as well. This card could represent restraint. It could represent holding back from something. So whether it's habits, actions, thought processes, when I see strength, it's like, oh no, I'm resisting, I can't let something happen. So we need to look at this. It is an angelic card. It's very loving, and notice she does have the infinity symbol over her head, which does give it that karmic flavor. So we do want to see what's up as we move along. The roughest aspect of the strength card, sometimes it could represent somebody caving on something, or somebody that's restraining something and then they just don't restrain it anymore, where it's like, all right, screw it, I'm going to do it. So watch out for fed up type of energy. Now, here on the back end, I really like this. We have the Two of Pentacles, one of the more positive twos out of all of them. And we see this individual, it looks like he's juggling those two pentacles. Classically, this is a card that is super harmonious. Talks about balance. So, like when we go from the Ten of Swords strength into this, it's like, all right, I'm getting my footing. So if there's recently been some sort of chapter close, it's like, all right, just trying to balance myself out, trying to find my footing, trying to find my sense of security. This could be harmony and balance coming in for you as well. So it's really nice. The downside, the energy can be a little lopsided as well. And I also say that it could be scattered, right? Because this person's literally juggling. They have a lot on their plate. They have a lot on their mind. They have a lot in their head. So we do want to look at this further and see, like, okay, well, is the energy scattered or is it coming into a state of balance? Maybe a little bit of both. But it is also with the karmic vibe. So when we're seeing a card of an ending, then two karmic cards, there could be a big chapter that has recently closed or is about to. So I want to dive deeper on all of this, Leo. Let's do it. Let's jump in and clarify. Okay, let's get a good shuffle here. What we got for the lovely Leos? And yes, this is where I go intuitive with the message. which means I just tell you how it feels to me. So feel free to do further research or rely on your base knowledge of tarot, because as you know, every single reading is about the reader's interpretation, and I'm just giving you mine. Let's go in on Ten of Swords. And yeah, if you're a reader yourself, please feel free to play along. That's why the box is here. If you're feeling any messages you want to give to Leo, drop it in the comments. I don't mind at all. Okay, why is the Ten of Swords in the mix? Why is that Ten of Swords here? Thank you. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So we do have the Hierophant in reverse underneath it, and the Hierophant reminds me of the Tower when it shows up in its reverse form. For some of you, this could represent a Taurus. It could represent career, work, stuff like that. So watch out for difficulties in that area of life, because for some of you, there could be a cycle coming to a close with stuff like that. Now, aside from things like that, when I see the Hierophant, it represents tradition. It represents things how they've always been. It's usually a long standing type of energy. It's very solid. It can represent our day to day life. So when I see the Ten of Swords with the Hierophant in reverse, it's like, okay, it's a big change. Or there's like some sort of paradigm shift where it's like, okay, now my whole daily schedule has changed. One of those. So again, there could be a lot of things closing out. He does have little karmic undertones too. So we're seeing it right here in the front, whether it's something that's recently happened maybe a month or two ago, or even it could be coming up now. Who knows, right? But the Hierophant in reverse underneath this Ten of Swords is Tower-like. So it is showing us some sort of ending or karmic energy. We're just going to keep pressing forward. We are going to keep pressing forward because that's what this energy wants us to do as well. Where it's like, okay, we're not going to linger here, but the energy has changed. So watch out for big changes in day-to-day schedule as well. Let's keep moving. And another thing with this Hierophant, while we get the other card out, this is another card that represents stability, right? It represents our stability. So Ten of Swords, Hierophant in reverse feels very insecure, where it's like, okay, the ground is shaking. What now? It's like that type of vibe. So there could be some cycles closing out for you. Let's go in on strength or somebody. Remember, this doesn't have to be you. This could be somebody else going through a tough one. Almost. Almost. See, I read jumpers and they get wild sometimes. Okay. So we have the Nine of Wands, the wounded warrior himself. Funny that we were speaking about restraint with this energy in the middle because that's what it's doing. Now, to me, I don't want to say this, where it could be someone that's like learned a lesson from their past. Now we're starting to see something different. Like when I see the Ten of Swords Hierophant, it's like, okay, I've seen this before, or you know what? I'm taking this as a lesson. So whether it's something you experienced a long time ago, a Ten of Swords Hierophant reverse moment that really shook the ground. When I see strength with the Nine of Wands, it's like, okay, not letting that happen again. Like I will see it coming from a million miles away type of vibe. Now, this card could sometimes represent rejection. Sometimes this card could represent restraint. So very similar to what I'm seeing here. There could also be somebody that's acting as if something doesn't affect them as much as it really does. We're not going to dive too much down that rabbit hole, but yeah, these cards are like, nope, nope, fine. Don't want to talk about it. I'm fine. Let's not talk about it. I'm not going to say whether that's good or bad because, I mean, it depends on the person, but we're just going to keep moving. I feel like whatever situations are going on or have recently gone on, you could take them as a lesson moving forward, where it's like, all right, that was valuable, painful, but valuable. Let's keep moving forward. Let's see what the Two of Pentacles has, then we'll do a quick recap before we get into the shadow. So why is that Two of Pentacles here? For my lovely Leos, please. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, it's like a recovery period. Okay, so we do have the Star in reverse underneath this Two of Pentacles. For some of you, this could represent the energy just being very much up and down. It could be like a day-to-day thing or an hour-to-hour type of thing as well, where it's like, you know what, sometimes I feel great, feeling like everything is smooth, back to normal, and then sometimes it's the complete opposite. So watch out for energy swings like that. Now, if that's not you, it could be somebody else where their energy is very much up and down, where it's like, all right, flip a coin. That's how they're doing. That's how it feels to me. Now, the Star is Aquarius energy. Usually in the upright, it's hopeful, it's wish fulfillment, it's, seeing the silver lining in something. Um, and it does represent hope, as I mentioned. But when it shows up in reverse, underneath this Two of Pentacles, it's like sometimes I'm feeling very hopeful, sometimes I'm feeling hopeless. and it just depends on when. Now, there is no timetable when it comes to healing and recovery and processing rough things that have happened. There is no timetable, so don't feel pressured, or maybe that's advice you need to give to somebody else. But the energy to me does feel like a bit of a warning here on the back end, where it's like, okay, well, things are going to start smoothing out, but not quite out of the woods yet. Or whoever this is isn't quite out of the woods yet. And again, that's not a bad thing. But we have like this karmic cycle that seems to be closing. We got rough and tough endings, unsure energies here, which isn't usually what I pick up from Leos. Like, usually with you beautiful Leos, even when something difficult is going on, you're very sure, very steadfast individuals. That's something I love about Leo energy. So whoever this is isn't showing me that aspect. Um, Maybe you're being very protective over someone that's going through a tough one too. But let's go through and do a quick recap. Then we'll get into the shadow. Because you see what I mean? The energy itself is kind of all over the place. But if you look here in the box, position number one, we have the Ten of Swords with the Hierophant in reverse. Lots of spiritual cards, karmic cards. There could be certain cycles that are coming to a close, of course, or an end. To me, it's an energy that feels like, all right, things have changed in a big way. My day to day life has changed in a big way. So watch out for anything in that realm. Big shifts of energy, and the energy feels like the floor is shaky. Moving to the center, we have the Strength card with the Nine of Wands. Now, this energy learns from what it's been through. It learns some valuable lessons that they may not be easy, but they're valuable in the long run. So I do like it. There is this little restraint too, where it's like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. It's giving me that kind of vibe. So again, no judgment here, but that's just what's showing up. Moving to the back end, we do have the Two of Pentacles with the Star in reverse. There is hope. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, but there is this energy that's still very up and down, where it's like, all right, I guess it depends on the day, depends on the hour. Sometimes the energy seems to be improving and doing great. Sometimes it reverts. Um, it's just a little up and down still. So do with that what you will. There's no rush. Please take a screenshot if you want to look into it further. Let's see what's in the shadows. Okay, let's get a good shuffle here. And yeah, I always like to pull one shadow card at the very end just to see whether it's something within you or something you don't quite see. Shadow cards don't always have to be a challenge. They could be a good thing too. So let's get you one. Oh, and yes, if you made it to this point in the reading, please feel free to check out channel memberships. I'll put a link for it in the comments below. It's a beautiful way to support the channel, and I have much love for all my channel members. Okay, let's get this shadow card out. Yeah, there we go. Nice and quick. There it is again. So the Strength card even shows up in the shadows. So even if you do fall into this camp and you are going through some difficulties, even if you're not, you might be like the rock for somebody else. So to me, it's like, for you, you're stronger than you give yourself credit for, which is usually a very good thing. But for another portion of you, there might be someone that needs to lean on you a little bit when we look at the positive aspect of strength in the shadows. But you remember what I said with all this energy here in the center. Strength can sometimes be an energy where you might cave on certain boundaries. So watch out for stuff like that, especially with this alignment we have here in the middle. There could be certain things you're refraining from or trying not to do. When I see this card in the shadows, it's like, oh, something might be more tempting than you think, or something might be a little harder than you think when this card is here. But I do feel like you're stronger than you give yourself credit for. So I think that's beautiful. So we're just going to put it down right there, my beautiful friends. That's what I have for you this week. Don't click away just yet, though. I'm going to give you the details. The November subscriber surprise. If you would like further insight on your situation and you'd like to have a little chat with me, you can book a personal reading with me on my website, mastermetaphysics.com. You'll see my digital calendar is open for the month of November. They're filling up pretty quick, so if you'd like to have a chat, come over and see me. But for the November subscriber surprise, I'm giving away 3 copies of a lovely deck. It's fairly new. It's called Tarot of the Woodland Wardens. It has a whole bunch of fluffy critters. It's really adorable. I think everyone would like it. So if you like to get your name in for this, it's 2 simple things, as always, my friends. First, you must be subscribed. And second, let me know down in the comments, since it is November, what are you most grateful for right now? You'll be entered to win, and at the end of the month, the winners will be announced in my community tab. As always, my friends, much love, and I'll see you soon.